Hello everyone and welcome back to another video and a recap this time of the Overwatch World Cup that's coming up starting this weekend with the online qualifiers to find out who are the 8 teams that are going to be playing at Blizzcon on November 3rd and 4th. So there's a lot of details flying around it, so I just sort of wanted to break all that down. Then I want to give my predictions of the countries that I think are going to go far, make it out of the groups, and who's going to be the eventual winners. I have some great graphic design stuff coming up for you, so stay tuned for that one. It's going to be exciting. So Blizzard actually put out this really good article of everything you need to know about the Overwatch World Cup group stage and finals. So I'm just here to sort of give you a quick TLDR in case you didn't read this article or you sort of want me to sum it up for you. So we have the groups officially announced for this round of 16. So 2 teams of each group will qualify through and then they will go on to the bracket. They've been distributed pretty well, and I'll talk about all of these teams and these brackets and the groups in just a little bit. But where can you watch? So we have Play Overwatch on the Twitch and YouTube channel. We're not on just YouTube. We're going to be on Twitch as well. There's also going to be designated co-streamers for these as well. Emong, Flats, J3, they're all listed right now, but there will be more. I'm actually going to be casting the online qualifiers, but I'm actually not going to be casting the actual BlizzCon event, unfortunately. But I have been offered the opportunity to co-stream from BlizzCon, and that's what I will be doing. So on my Twitch channel, on November 3rd and 4th, I will be co-streaming all the matches. I'm hoping to get a bunch of content creators, bunch of players, anyone I really can to come onto the co-stream with me so we can talk about these matches, have fun, and sort of help you tap into the LAN event environment just that little bit more. So there are going to be watch parties happening all over the place. In case you're interested in that, go to this website if you want to find those details. But of course, most importantly, there are going to be drops. So the numbers are going to be high and you guys can spam drops in chat. So the way it's going to be working is in the group stage on October 29th and October 30th. So the first 2 days of the group stage. If you watch 14 hours, you can get all these skins, you can get sprays, and this is for World Cup Group A and B. Then on October 31st and November 1st, then you have to watch another 14 hours to receive all of the drops, and then you'll get the World Cup Group C, World Cup Group D sprays, and the away skins for some of these heroes. So this is how you get the Orisa and the Pharah is the first section. The second section is the Echo and the Zarya, okay? So if you want these skins, you gotta watch a lot of Overwatch. Make sure you've connected your Twitch and your YouTube to successfully get these drops. And then for the very finals on November 3rd through to November 5th, apparently. I don't know why that's 5th, but November 3rd and 4th. If you watch, you can get the spray, you can get Ana World Cup and away skins, you can get Bastion World Cup home and away skins, the Doofus Home Cup World and away skins. There's a bunch of cool stuff that are being given away. You guys come and check out this tournament. There's also a crowd-funded prize pool that is going to be happening. So if you haven't seen it in the shop, Blizzard is giving away some skins. Well, not giving away. You have to buy them. That's the opposite of giving away. But there is a crowdfunding mega bundle. There's this big bundle where you can get this Sojourn skin. You can get like the little weapon charms for the countries. You can get all these different types of things. Go check out the shop in the Overwatch client if you want to check these out, because 25% of all proceeds of your purchase will go to the teams. So this is the percentage per team. First, we'll get 25% of the prize of the sort of crowdfunded prize pool. Then second, we'll get 10%, and then it goes lower and lower and lower. There are actually milestones for how much money is given to by buying these bundles. So, milestone 1 they have right here is there's going to be player icons for the 43 teams competing in the World Cup. Then there's also going to be weapon charms for the top 16 teams competing in the World Cup. There is currently no information that I could find related to these milestones of like how much the milestones are. There isn't a tracker of how far we are. So Blizzard, if you could just show us the numbers, that would really help and incentivize people like myself, like others, to want to invest in this, because people are excited about the World Cup. They want to give money, but you just need to give them an avenue and sort of give them the information on how and why. So that's everything you need to know for the BlizzCon coming up. That's like a crash course. There is a lot of other information out there if you guys want to check that out. But you know me, I'm competitively focused. I want to talk about the actual games. So let's have a look at the actual teams that are going to be playing and look at the groups in the bracket. Oh yeah, I have paint open. So that's when you know that I'm going to pop off. So let me talk about these groups because we got some interesting ones. On Group A, we got Team Korea in a group with Colombia, Mexico, and Finland. So let's talk about this group to begin with. I think Korea is obviously one of the clear favorites to win the entire Overwatch World Cup. I don't see anybody in this group contesting them at all. So enough said, Team Korea is stacked. It's essentially last year's Dallas Fuel squad. I can pull up the roster for you right now if you want to see it. It's essentially last year's Dallas Fuel squad with Sparkle, Hanbin, Fearless, Fielder, Chio, but they also have the additions of Lip and Finn. So they are just stacked to the teeth. You know, I think they have no worries about any meta. We'll see how they do. There are some questions around some of these players. Obviously, Finn had a pretty poor season, and Sparkle hasn't been the excellent, exceptional Sparkle that we've known and loved, but you know, I'm sure they're still going to be the favorites for this match. Then also in Group A, we had Finland, which has a couple of Overwatch League X players. So obviously Sauna just played for the London Spitfire, but didn't see a lot of game time. Vestola was on the Vegas Eternal, Paris Eternal, just a few years ago. So they have some known players, and this team has actually made it all the way from the wild card. They almost weren't even included in the Overwatch World Cup, came in through the wild card, made it out of the groups, and now they're in the round of 16. And Finland is actually my second favorite team to make it out of this group. I think Mexico is an interesting team because they don't really have any experienced players on their roster in terms of like high-level contenders. Nomi, for any of you old Overwatch League heads, is the head coach of this team. He was on the 2018 San Francisco Shock. So he's actually a coach, but other than that, they don't have a lot of experience because there's not a lot of Overwatch esports going down that way. And then Colombia, people were excited about this team because EQO was on this roster, the Philadelphia Fusion EQO. But unfortunately, he is not going to be able to make it to Blizzcon, and he's not going to be able to compete for Colombia. So I think a lot of their chances that potentially they might have had have gone by the wayside. So I think Korea and Finland are going to make it out of this group. I think Korea is going to be number 1 seed, and I'm just assuming this is how it's going to work, by the way. So Korea number 1 seed, Colombia, number 2 seed, going into quarterfinal 2. That's how I think this is going to work. So the winner of that goes into quarterfinal 1. Loser goes into quarterfinal 2. Actually, let's just double check, chat. Group A1 goes here. Group A2 goes there. Perfect. So we're doing this group stage into the bracket. Right. So let's talk about Group B. Of course, the Commonwealth are coming to fight against each other. We got Great Britain, Australia, Brazil, who aren't a part of the Commonwealth, but they out here. And then we have Canada. It's actually an interesting group because I don't think there's any clear-cut favorites like we have in some of the other groups. Obviously, Great Britain and Canada have a lot of familiar names to a lot of different people. Let's have a look at them. So Canada, we have Seeker, we have False, we have Crimzo, we have Cal. These are all Overwatch League players in the past. They also have Danny, a very experienced head coach. And then it's filled out by players who are in contenders. So they have a lot of high-end experienced players. I think Canada are probably, in my opinion, the favorites to make it out of this group. United Kingdom are no slouches as well, with some familiar household names with Kai, Backbone. It's a very solid DPS line. Both of those players have popped off in the past. Jkaru as sort of the tank player, I don't expect Smex to play. We'll see how Jkaru can hang out with the top level teams. He's obviously been in contenders for a very long time. Then we have Cronus and Funny Astro as the backline. So there, once again, is a lot of Overwatch League experience mixed with some contenders experience. So this is also another very strong team. But they have to go up against the Australians. And Australians are known to be resilient, and we've made it out of groups in the past. So Australia is essentially sending sort of a half and half of 2 of the best Australian contenders teams that we have out here. So we have Ground Zero Gaming, and then we have Honeypot, right? So these are 2 teams, and they've essentially just filled it with the best players that they can. We'll see how they can compete on the international stage. Australian contenders in general has its moments, and we have had some great talent come out of there in the past. Obviously, we had Trill, we had Punk, but with the Overwatch World Cup not running for the last few years, it feels like we haven't seen as many of those players. Custa is probably the most popular. He's sort of been around the place. He's a bit of a memer. So we'll see if he's going to be able to step up, because Punk is actually not going to be playing in the World Cup team. He decided to take a step back, give the opportunity to Custa to be able to sort of come to Los Angeles, come to the Blizzcon, and compete internationally. Because first and foremost, the Overwatch World Cup is a great way to get your name out there as a player on the international stage, because you get the opportunity to play against some of the best players in the world. Then we have Brazil as the fourth team of this group. They don't have a lot of highly experienced players. Once again, contender scene isn't really running in South America. I was tried to look up who these people were. Let's talk about Ludwig, not the YouTuber, unfortunately, but they haven't played a tournament since 2020. So I can't even really look up any of these players. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of expectations. They did make it out of their group to qualify for this top 16, but they're also competing against a bunch of other South American teams that don't have a lot of experience. So in this group, with how many experienced players there are, I would be shocked if Brazil made it out, but hey, they'll have the passion, and that's what they need. So for me, I'm actually going to put Canada as the number one seed. I think Canada's going to be great. I think they have a lot of experience playing together. I think Great Britain is going to be a little sus. As much as they have some good players, I don't know if it's going to come together in the same way. And then because I'm just purely biased, I'm going to put Australia as a second team. I think you can obviously make a great case. Wait, what did I do? Obviously, you can make a great case that Great Britain will probably beat Australia because they have more experienced players, but heck you, I'm from Australia, okay? I can do what I want. This is my bracket, huh? Let's go, Aussie. I believe in you. Great Britain are going to choke. They always do. And because I think it's funny to make fun of Jaws, because he's from Great Britain, and So, then we got China, Spain, Hong Kong, and Thailand in Group C. I think China is, first and foremost, actually, I did this wrong. Pause, undo. Oh, God, I fucked it. Oh, God. Canada goes... Graphic design is my passion. Oh, shoot. Honestly, that's actually so funny. If Australia qualifies, I just realized this matchup. If Australia does qualify second, they go into the exact same situation that happened in 2018 when I played in the Overwatch World Cup, which was... we make it out of groups, we get to go to BlizzCon, we get to play on the big stage, and we face South Korea in the first round. So good luck, Australia. It happened to us. I played Torbjorn. That's how in danger we were, and it didn't work. South Korea booty bopped us and knocked us out of the tournament. But if you lose to South Korea, that's respectable. At least you can go home with your head held high. But let's go back to Group C. We have China coming in. I think they're always going to be the number one seed coming out of this group. They're essentially fielding the entire Hangzhou Spark. Let's see if I can think. So they have Shai, Leave, Gushui, Monk, Lengsa, and then Farway is coming in. Ray is no longer the head coach, and they've given it to Yaoshi, I think is how you pronounce that. So they are going to be a strong team just because they have great players, but they also have pre-existing synergy by playing as the Hangzhou Spark, and they've been playing all year. This Hangzhou Spark roster just finished third in the Overwatch League season, so no slouches at all. They're going to be one of the teams to beat. So they're definitely making it out of group. Spain has some contenders players. Helv is a player that's a little bit known, and then we have Gala. There's been a lot of drama that's happened with the Team Spain of roster swaps, internal issues, all these different types of problems. So Spain is definitely up in the air to see how good they are going to be. And then have Hong Kong and Thailand. Hong Kong doesn't have a lot of, world-class players to sort of speak to their name. They have Rek, who is, from DAF Esports, which was the best team in Asia Pacific contenders. So they have one player who has some experience, but other than that, not a lot going for them. They have IRP. If you watch NA streamers, he is the Moira one trick who just flames people and does Moira backline shenanigans all the time. We'll see if actually ends up playing. But Thailand is actually the other interesting team in this group because, yes, Rek is playing as the one contenders player from that team, but he's playing up against the rest of his teammates as Thailand is stacked with pretty much the entire DAF Esports squad. So This is the team that just won Asia Pacific Contenders. They're quite strong, and I expect them to have by far the most experience, but also synergy in the same way that the Hangzhou Spark are going to have, and I expect Thailand to make it out of this group. So we have China, and then we have Thailand getting out of there as well. I think having that experience of like scrim time, knowing how the rest of your team plays is so valuable. Over to Group D, and this is Group of Death. 100%. I think there's a lot of great teams in this group. Obviously, I'm going to go first and foremost. Team USA should make it out of this group. Should make it out of this group very easily. Team USA has a lot of Overwatch League players. They're confident. They even got Super, the 2-time champion, and my Street Fighter 6 streamer. So we'll see if they're going to be able to sort of have that synergy and pop off. Obviously, Toronto Defiant had mixed success throughout this season, but you know, I expect them to be able to make it out of this group quite handily. The big question gets raised when you're like, who is the second best team in this group? I think Japan has an interesting look because Japan is being run by, once again, an entire contenders team called Varel. This team just finished second in Asia Pacific Contenders to DAF Esports. So they are a strong team, but on the international stage, is that going to stand up? Obviously, a lot of pre-existing synergy, and I think they could be strong, but they're actually in a difficult group. I think Japan could make it out of some of the other groups, but because they're in the group of death, Japan, this is a strong team, but then they also have to go up against France, which has some well-known names. They have Nico, who hasn't been playing as much recently, Ben Best, Poco, FD God, all Overwatch League players in the past, very experienced guys, especially on the international stage, but it's a little hodgepodge for France, and France just narrowly made it out of the group stage to qualify for this new group stage because Denmark just lost to someone at the final hour. France was able to sneak their way in. So they're not looking exceptional, but they did have to come out of a hard, series of groups. Lots of EU talent. But if you're talking about European talent and people who sort of play in that region, they have to go up against Saudi Arabia, who has a lot of players from Twisted Minds, and this Twisted Minds roster has been great in the last year. 2023 accomplishments. They won the Saudi E-League in Season 1. Well, that's to be expected. But what I should have said is Spring Series and Summer Series in Europe. They won 4-0 against, I believe this is Ex Oblivione. Yeah. And then they also won the Summer Series as well. They have been the best team in the European region, and they have a lot of high-quality players. Elephant in the room, YZN is not going to be playing. YZN did help them qualify. He played a lot of Pharah. That's how the Saudi Arabian team and Twisted Minds play a lot. They like to depend on the Pharah. They like to sort of play a different style and catch the other teams off guard. But that doesn't mean they have any weakness when it comes to high quality players as well, especially mechanics. Quartz is a great hit scan. They have Somarjet on the support role. They have a lot of great players, and they filled YZN with Labda as well, who has a very similar hero pool to way YZN is going to play. So Saudi Arabia, I think, is going to be the second strongest team in this group. They have a lot of experience playing together. I think they're going to come in confident. I think Saudi Arabia makes it out of this group over Japan and France. So that is going to be the bracket coming out of the group stage. So then we're going to move to the World Cup finals. This is the part where it goes to land at the Blizzcon Arena, and we're going to have all these matches played over 2 days. So let's get this first. Korea is going to beat Australia. I'm sorry, Australia. My bias has to end here, but as I said, respectable loss to Korea. Then we're going to have Colombia playing wait, why did I choose Colombia? I absolutely did not choose Colombia. I think I misprinted that. Undo. I'm sure there's people molding of like, how dare you put Colombia? Why do you think Colombia's going to be Finland? I actually meant Finland was going to make it. Even without LH Cloudy, due to a recent suspension, Finland is going to be the team that's going to make it out of Group A. I don't know what happened there. My brain just lagged. But Canada goes up against Finland. Finland has some good players, but Canada is going to take down Finland. So then Canada is going to face Korea in the semifinals. Then we have China versus Saudi Arabia. And I actually think Saudi Arabia could catch some of these teams off guard. I don't think China is one of them. I think China, when you have so much talent, you have Shai who's going to be able to pick them out of the air. You have Leave who can play Tracer. And I think the way that China is going to want to play a dive style is going to match up very well against the Pharah of Saudi Arabia. So I got China making it out of this one, taking down Saudi Arabia, and then USA is going to take down Thailand just off of sheer mechanics and just skill over, Thailand. They have a full team, but USA has some of the best Overwatch League players out there. Then we got Korea versus Canada. Korea is once again going to walk through this one. I think Korea are a very solid team and the favorites to win it all. Canada will go down to the third place match. Love a good third place match, right, chat? And then we have China versus Team USA. This is by far the most interesting match that we're going to have. I think realistically going into this tournament, Korea, China, and USA are the teams to beat. They're the three horses that are by far ahead of everyone else. And if they aren't, all three of these teams aren't in the semifinals, something's gone horrifically wrong, especially the way that everything has been seeded. I'm actually going to go with Team China. I think Team China has pre-existing synergy. I think they're a very strong team. I think they know exactly how they want to play. USA, I think the way that USA gets over Team China in this matchup is the meta. And I'm going to talk about the meta in just a little bit. But in general, Team China, they're going to play around Gushue, Winston, and Doomfist. They're going to play dive. They did that all the way to the very end in the Overwatch League. And I'm not sure if USA is going to have the same level of coordination to deal with it. If they can play like the Sigma Bastion stuff and really put a stop to the dive of China, I think USA can get over them. But with very little to go off of, I actually think Team China is just going to have pre-existing synergy and get them over the line. And it's going to be a China versus Korea finals. And then we have Canada versus USA in the third place match, which will be a funny one if that happens. But I have Team USA beating out Canada in the third place match. I'm just going to put it there to sort of indicate that. And then I'm going to have Korea to win it all. I think Korea is just so stacked. I think it's going to be hard to beat them. There's a world in which China's like dive is just better and Korea can't deal with it, but I'm giving it to Korea just on raw talent and the players that they have on their team. Going into what I think the meta might be for this Overwatch World Cup, first and foremost, for the group stages, every country is just going to play to their strengths. I don't think there is going to be a hard meta, and that's fun, that everyone's going to be playing the same thing. I think you're going to see a lot of like Lucio Baptiste with either like a Reinhardt or a Sigma playing around the Bastion, very similar to what we saw in the playoffs of the Overwatch League finals recently. But there are going to be teams that want to play dive, like China. They're going to want to play Doomfist. Saudi Arabia is going to play Farah. There are so many teams that are just going to play to your team's identity and your team's strengths, because metas aren't as important when you have this World Cup stage. But what I genuinely think is going to be the best and the thing that will dominate is going to be the Sigma Bastion. We've seen a lot of people talking about this in ranked and a lot of pros. The Sigma is one of the few tanks that can hold up to the damage of a Bastion, and Bastion damage right now is insane. You pair that with a Mei plus the healing and the AoE of everything else, it's very difficult to dive into that. And with very few changes happening from the previous patch of the Season 7 patch, I expect that to still be one of the biggest metas in play. Worth noting as well, there is a mid-season patch I'm pretty sure expected to come out on Tuesday of next week. I don't assume that they're playing the Blizzcon on that new patch, but hey, it's World Cup. It could be the Wild West. Maybe Blizzard wants to show something off. We'll see. But for right now, that's what I expect to see. And that is an Overwatch World Cup crash course. I hope you got all the information you need. I hope I answered everything for you in terms of scheduling, but also the matches to watch. It's been a weird off season. Not a whole lot's happening, so I haven't been making too many videos, but make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be coming out with more content in the future. I got a little something cooking. Make sure to like the video. Leave a comment on who you think is going to win the Overwatch World Cup. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.